And you're very welcome back. The August bank holiday weekend has finally arrived. Hallelujah. With many of you setting off on a well-earned road trip this morning. But before you do, it's important to be aware of the essential car checks that every motorist should be carrying out.
Yes, motoring journalist Geraldine Herbert joins us this morning with some safety tips before you set off on that all-important journey. Good morning to you, Geraldine.
Hi,
Good
Geraldine.
morning,
Anna. Good morning,
Lots of excitement within families today. They're all setting off on an adventure, but there's a few checks that you should run through before heading off.
Yeah, now, Anna, these are designed for people who know nothing about cars. We're not going to go under the bonnet because that makes people's eyes glaze over. So these are, you don't need any special equipment, you don't need any knowledge. These are just very simple things.
This is back to basics.
Very, very
right,
basic.
But you still need to do it before you head, particularly on a long journey.
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting your car regularly serviced, you shouldn't have to worry. But at the same time, just for the reassurance of knowing if you're setting off on a long journey, these are the kind of things you need to do.
Okay.
Now, the very first thing you need to do is fuel. Sounds incredibly obvious, but it makes life an awful lot easier if you set off with a full tank, be it petrol or diesel. If you have an electric car, that means charging it overnight. You know, when you get on the motorway, it may not be convenient to get off it and have to fill or find a fueling station, or if you have kids who are asleep, you may not want to disturb them.
Yes.
So that's the first thing you do, is the fuel.
You do tend to forget, particularly like on a bank holiday weekend, when you're busy, you're trying to get all the luggage, all the kids, get the dog sorted, get a snack in the car, get the iPads powered up.
And you're so delighted to just get into the car.
You get into the car and you don't even look at it, and it could be halfway down the motorway by the time you go, or it beeps at you and you're having a panic then. So you're probably better off factoring in a stop to the garage or to the filling station before you go.
Yeah, it just makes life easier. Just one less
Because
thing
we've all
to think
been there,
about.
haven't we? When it's running low and you're thinking, am I going to make it or not?
Just make it to the next point. Well, don't do that, gamble. Not on your holidays.
I've been on the motorway with the two kids in the back, and it's been in the red, and I've been looking at the distance to the next exit. You know, on the motorway, I'm panicking. Thankfully, I've never actually been stopped. So
and the thing is, once you stop, it's the toilet breaks, it's the everything, and it's not the 5 minutes. So the fuel is the first thing.
Okay, fuel first. Grant. What's next?
Okay, the next thing you need to do is check the wipers. Rain is a constant feature of Irish weather.
Of course.
So, now, the best thing to do is just literally lift them. Just run your hands underneath them and make sure there's no cuts or tears. At the same time, check that you have water. You know, you'll get a sign on your dashboard to say you're running low in water, so just make sure. Also, if there's any warnings on your dashboard, get them checked before you go out.
Okay, any lights?
And full stop, you should always, never ignore a warning on your dashboard.
Yeah. Okay.
It's there for a reason.
Yeah, so that's the thing to do. So that's your wipers. Now, the next thing, and probably the most important check you can do, is your tyres. These are the single most important thing on your car. Now, the first thing you want to do is you want to check the tyre pressure. You're going to have to pop into a garage. This requires going somewhere to do this, because you're going to have to check it there. If you don't know what the tyre pressure is, when you open the driver's side of most cars, it'll be there, or it'll be in, the manual you would have got when you bought the car, or whatever, it'll be there. If you're still unsure, you can check online. But as I said, you need to check that first.
This is what it should be at, is it?
The tyre pressure, what it should be at.
Okay, right,
if you don't have your manual in your car, it is on the side of the door.
Yeah, that's it. Just open the driver's door and it is there. Now,
don't some cars tell you as well? Or some modern cars would tell you your tyre pressure is low, depending on the car?
Tyre pressure monitors have been, I think, standard on cars for about 2 years, but you have to have a fairly new car for that, obviously, so not everybody does. Now, the next thing you want to check is the tread depth. Now, the tread depth legally has to be 1.6 millimetres, but that's where you don't want to be. When it gets to about 3 millimetres, you want to consider changing it. That's your absolute bare minimum. But a really, really handy way of doing it, and again, everybody has a euro coin, is to check it. Now, I'll show you exactly how you do it, but basically what you're looking at is if any of the gold at the base is revealed, it means your tyres are nearing the 1.6 millimetre and you do need to get them looked at. So you literally just put it in like that.
In the middle.
And you see now that there's no gold at the bottom.
Okay, just hold it there for us.
So obviously, if it was like that, you'd have a problem. But as you sit it into it, if that's what you're looking at, then that tyre is perfect.
So the circle needs to be needs to be a little bit hidden.
The bottom part of the gold has to be completely hidden. If there's any of it visible, then you need to have them changed.
Handy.
That's a test anyone can do at home.
Everybody has that. The other thing you need to remember is most cars have 5 tyres. You have a spare tyre as well. You need to check that. Check that that's okay. Do all the same checks with that. And also check that you have a toolkit. So if you do have a puncture, you have the equipment to actually change it. Now, some of the new cars have puncture repair kits. They don't actually have a spare tyre. Yeah, they're really messy to use.
I was going to say, like, you're going on YouTube on the side of the road.
Yeah, that's
not ideal, is it?
So if you're not 100% confident about using those, and honestly they are tricky, I would go and invest in a spare tyre. You don't have to do it today or tomorrow, but long term it's the kind of thing you're probably better off having in the car. Now, they are very convenient, but there's an act to use them, and you screaming kids at the side of the road, as you said, YouTube is not an option.
I know, yeah.
So it might be as well to just invest.
And is there room then in newer cars? You're talking about the foam thing you put in it, is it?
Yeah.
Or whatever?
Yeah.
Is there room in newer cars for a spare tyre? Or right, it's not like
no,
you
there
take up room
should
in
be.
the boot.
Yeah, I mean, you can accommodate one. The thing is just weight saving. That's where they're taking as much of these things out of the car to improve the fuel economy. But sometimes people would prefer worse fuel economy, and a spare tyre. So just, that's, you may not, again, if you've bought a new car recently, you may not even know that. So it's something worth checking.
I was just about to say, people might not even know the answer to that.
You open it up on the side of the road and just a hole there.
And you discover it then.
You see a can and you go, that does not look like a tyre. Yes, that is the problem. Okay, the last check you need to do then are just lights, right? So what you're looking at is your front lights, your rear lights, your brake lights. You'll need somebody to stand in the back to make sure that they're and just press the brake and check them. And then your hazard lights, because they're your indicators.
Okay. So, I was driving in pretty foggy conditions yesterday. This is always a big one with fog, right?
Yes,
and particularly when it's nice or it's sunny. Fingers crossed we get a bit of sunshine this weekend. In foggy conditions, it's always a good idea to learn which buttons or what the symbols are for your fog lights.
And always remember to turn them off when it's no longer foggy. That is a really annoying thing when you drive up behind drivers.
But the fog lights are usually a pull-out rather than a switch,
Depends on the car. They can be just where the other lights are. Yeah, it can be a pull-out. Some of the older ones have a pull-out. Some of the other ones are just on the stalk, the same as everything else. So again, it's worth investigating before you go.
Have a look at the manual.
But we're going to have sunshine for the August bank holiday. We don't need to worry about these things.
We don't need to worry about fog, except for early in the morning.
Or rain, or anything.
We got a WhatsApp in about the water. I never know which one. This is you were talking about opening the bonnet, not having to open the bonnet, but you did mention the water.
It's the little washer symbol. There's literally, again, if you can Google it if you want to, but there's literally water spraying and there's a little wiper thing. It's very easy to identify.
And do you have to, because garages sell fluid, or do you put water in with a bit of washing up liquid?
No, just put water in. It's fine.
Plain water.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
And as I said, you'll get loads of warning. A light will come on your dashboard to tell you that you're running low in water. So you're not going to be driving along.
But the thing is, don't ignore the warnings.
Any warnings on your dashboard are always worth investigating.
That's the thing as well, in summer weather, the flies are all out.
Should the worst happen, Geraldine?
Okay, if you do have a breakdown, the best thing you can do is, first of all, you need to look at the safety of you, your passengers and other cars. So move the car off the road. The last thing you want is another accident. The other thing is stick the hazards on to alert other people that you're stopped and get out of the car. This is really, really important, particularly if you break down on a motorway. Never, ever sit in the car. Get out of the car, get up on the embankment, phone.
Cross the thing, cross the barrier on the side.
There's been all sorts of terrible accidents with people sitting in the car. And even taking a phone call, like never pull off the motorway and sit in the hard shoulder for any length of time.
Which you do see people doing, Geraldine, quite often.
It's wholesale dangerous, it really is. But if you have an accident, the chances are, if you have a breakdown, the chances are you're going to be waiting at least 20 minutes to half an hour. So do not even contemplate sitting in the car. Get out of the car and far away from it.
You can find out more on the Road Safety Authority's website, am I right?
There's loads of videos and stuff,
Okay, you can check that out there. Geraldine, thanks very much.
Not at all.
Cheers.
Thank you, Geraldine. Safe driving.